Oh man, Mike. This is the Brotherhood podcast. We have Mike Moosebrugger. I met Mike through David Meltzer. That was talk about a great event, Mike. When I met you, it was Marcus Colston, you, Bucky O'Neill was there. You know what I mean? And you were on the panel, and it was awesome, brother. So I just want to say thank you for coming on the Brotherhood podcast. I love that you don't even know really what you're on or what the Brotherhood even is. So I was like, but I just love that you said, all right, I'm down, Nick, and
Let's do it.
thank you.
Yep. No, and I appreciate you. Thanks for having me on. And it was what a great event. We connected well. So my kind of guy, you, Clinton, everybody else. So when you asked me to be on, of course, it was no brainer, man.
Thank you, brother. And unfortunately, I had like literally this is the third podcast this week. So a lot of my guys are like, I think they're podcasted out. But guess what? Tim Rook, Aka, Boogie Down from the Bronx. I'm not sure who iPhone 6 is on here, but these guys are smart because I know like I listened to you at that event. I got some great nuggets, and I know these. Oh, there he is, Keith. What's up, brother? Yeah, man. So like on my behalf though, I got a lot of podcasts in this week, and so they might be a little tired or trying to get some work done, but again, man, they'll watch the recording and stuff. So
A
it'll,
long week, man.
yeah,
However, I can provide value, Nick.
I appreciate it, brother. And Mike, so the Brotherhood, I wanted to real quick explain to you, like the Brotherhood was this club that was created. We're an accountability club. That's
Yep.
really what we are. And it's interesting. Before we got on this call, we were talking about like one of the biggest problems today with the athletes is there's no accountability because they could just leave a school and transfer and that's
Absolutely.
it. Like so, and that was the thing. Like it was the interesting thing was the way this was created was I got baptized about 6 months ago or 5 months ago. And when I joined my church, the people that were a part of it were just some of the most incredible people, just successful. I was out in Utah, and you might even know Bronson Kafusi. He did a call with David Meltzer like a couple weeks ago. Bronson spoke at my baptism. Chad
Right.
Chad Lewis that played for the Eagles spoke at my baptism. I'm just giving you some context so you understand the audience you're dealing with. And so anyway, so when I went through all that, it was amazing, and everybody there, like all the guys that were just like, "Welcome to the Brotherhood."
Yep.
And I never really had something like that. Like I thought it was just like that name just stuck with me. And then as I was flying back, I started this Brotherhood concept on the computer. I started talking about with all my clients, and then basically it was like, you need to start a Brotherhood. And then we just started the Brotherhood. And then basically it's with these guys, they're mostly gym owners. They're listening to this, coaches, gym owners. What we do is on Mondays, on Wednesdays, and Fridays, we meet on Zoom and we bring in special speakers like you. We'll get into your awesome background in a second. And really, we only bring on brothers or sisters that will uplift people and that are here to tell you like how you can do it, like how you,
My song, man. I love it.
you know, that's
Fantastic.
yeah, brother. So let's give your background, man. Like, one thing, it's kind of funny because like I wanted to be an NFL agent when I was a kid or when I was like 20 or whatever. I wanted to be so bad to like be an agent. I don't know if you remember Jim Solano for the Eagles.
Sure.
Yeah, my dad was very good friends with him. So my dad was IRS agent. He passed away a couple years back. But I remember Jim Solano. He was like Reggie White and all the Eagles, Jerome Brown, Clyde Simmons, and stuff like that. I took a class with him in Philadelphia Textile. I never made it through college, but you played in the NFL. You also played at Wake Forest. But I really, man, let's go into your background a little bit. Like, so you're in high school and like you get recruited by everybody, and then you went to Wake Forest, or what was that experience like, brother?
It started out. I love the concept of the brotherhood right before I
Thank
even
you.
start because the nature of just human beings as a whole, we all need connection, right? And COVID screwed that up for everybody. So whether you've been an athlete or you've not been an athlete, it's just important. But particularly for ex-athletes like for me, that's something I'm always looking for, right? I grew up in that environment. It was always a group lift, and every sport is unique in its own way. I think football is uniquely special because it truly takes 11 people working in the same direction in order to have success. Like once in a while, one person can dominate, but again, it's not like basketball, which is a team but an individual sport. Same with baseball, a dominant pitcher. Football's a little bit different. So for me, I was fortunate. I was pretty good. I had a pretty catastrophic injury my junior year and thought I wasn't going to be able to play. Bounced back, and again, I was fortunate. Chose Wake Forest, Nick, because I thought, okay, where can I play the biggest football and get the best education, right? I wasn't really the NFL was a dream. But at that point, at 17 years old, it's a dream, right? Is it really going to become a reality? So I thought, let's have something to fall back on, right? I don't want to go to a school and major in underwater basket weaving or something like that, right? That's not going to help me. So I went to Wake, and it was a great experience. I mean, it's in the ACC. They were dominant. That was when Florida State was the king of the world back then, and North Carolina as well. So you're playing guys like Julius Peppers and Peter Boulware and people like that.
Wow.
So it was the Bobby Bowden heydays of the ACC. And again, Wake Forest was it's a Southern Ivy League school. So from an educational standpoint, right, I knew no matter what, right, if I'm good enough, if I have an opportunity, they're going to find me, right? They find guys at Division III schools, they find you, right? The NFL is big business. So I went there specifically just to get an education. So I thought, you know what, no matter what, at least I'm set up for post life.
Did you graduate? What year did you graduate high school, Mike?
97.
97. Okay, wow, awesome.
So I'm 45 years old now.
That's awesome. And then, so then Wake Forest, like you had this catastrophic injury your junior year.
My junior year in high school, I blew my ankle out. I had compound fractures on both sides. I got 2 plates and screws that hold that thing in there. So, back then, typically your junior year, like that's the big recruiting year, right? So I missed the whole year, made it back for senior year. And like I said, that was kind of the beginning of what was going to be a life full of kind of like obstacles overcoming. It was just one of those things like, okay, this is what I have to do. If I'm going to play, you got to battle it back, and we got to overcome this, and we got to make it work. So, but that was my junior year in high school that first one happened.
I love what you said too, man. I was thinking about this in the past, like I guess couple days. It was like, when I look back at where I'm at now, and I look back at all the obstacles, like it's like I think that so many people get discouraged during those obstacles, and I think I even did sometimes get discouraged of it. But
Sure.
like that is so critical for you to get to the next level. Like overcoming the obstacles. I mean, it's I love hearing that. So wow, that was so it turned into
You just gotta you have to reframe those things, right? And it's easy for me to see now at 45 years old, but again, at the time, you're stuck in a position, and everyone knows that it's cliche. Every speaker, all these talented guys on the call have said this before, but we can only control what we can control. Certain things are going to happen. So it's very basic, but in that position, it's like, all right, I'm going to feel sorry for myself, and I got injured, and it's going to heal eventually, or get off my butt and start working, and let's see what we can do about it. So, at its most basis crux, pretty much every problem is either go left or right, and just get going.
absolutely, brother. So now you graduate Wake Forest, and did you get drafted in the NFL, or did you a free agent, or how did you get into the NFL?
So the process starts for me. So we'll get into a little bit of my family history. So I'm on the Leafy campuses of Wake Forest in 2001. I've had a good career. Agents are starting to call. I'm entering my senior season. I'm the youngest of 4, so I have sister, brother, sister, myself. Kind of traditional all-American family. And about 4 games into my senior season, I had a massive, massive tragedy at home. Unbeknownst to me, my brother had a horrific drug addiction. Had gone to rehab, had gotten, all the help he needed, was doing wonderful, was living back home with my folks. I didn't think that was odd because it was told to me, hey, Mike, mom and dad are getting older. We need your brother to come home. You're down playing football. Kind of made sense, guys, right? So I never really placed it as something that was independent. And the whole family knew about his drug addiction. I didn't, right? I'm getting ready to graduate from Wake, getting ready to go on. So they kept it from me. He relapsed one night, and tragedy struck for whatever reason. He overdosed. He ended up taking both my parents' life, and then took his own life. And that was my senior season at Wake Forest, 4 games in. So I had to come home. I was the youngest of the family, right? I've got 2 older sisters. I got to figure out how to handle that. How do I handle his business? How do I graduate? How do I handle myself, right? So, there obviously too, my draft status starts to go like this really quickly, right? So, and justifiably so, right? So I missed 4 games, came back, played my final 3, and then as I bounced around, draft day came around. I thought I was going to be drafted by the Bengals. Got a phone call from them. That round came and went, and I didn't get picked. So I don't care, right? Just get me whenever you're going to get me. as that goes, I just kept falling round after round. So in short, free agent contract, right? Not what I wanted. Thought I'd be there long term. So bounced around a little bit, couldn't get the contract I wanted. Was fortunate. I had an opportunity to go up and play in the CFL with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. It was great. It was a guaranteed deal. Was going to start a tackle. It was wonderful. Went up there. I'd got some game film. Great off season in year 2. Re-signed with Winnipeg just so that I've got a place to play. I've worked out for a bunch of teams. I'm like, okay, I'll be back down here in the States in no time. So get a call in a preseason game. I'm going to get ready to come down, play for the Chargers. I'm already at this preseason game, so I'm going to play, right? I'm 24 years old. I'm half dressed. Freak accident. Quarterback throws an interception. I go to run the guy down, tackle him. I get hit from the side, fractured my ribs, right? If you guys have ever hurt your ribs, there's nothing you can do about it. It's just, just stuck. And of course, I'm a football player. So what do? I go over to the sideline, take a needle, and go back in the game, right? Set on a nice 300-pound defensive tackle. Rib goes into a lung. That's it. So after being out of the game for about a year, I just didn't want to run into guys my same size anymore. It just the injury, the loss of my family, it just fellas, football just didn't make any sense to me anymore. That progressed to, if you've ever hurt your ribs, painful. You can't laugh, you can't do anything. You can't go to the bathroom, you can't train, you can't do anything, right? So I'm just sitting around, depressed, feeling bad for myself, eating painkillers like Tic Tacs left and right. And you heard the story, Nick. So, it got to the point, fellas, where I became my brother. One day I just decided I can't do this anymore. And wrote a note, took my pistol, and click, nothing happened. The magazine had fallen out. So real talk, I don't know if I subconsciously hit that release button, if I didn't put it in right, if it was divine intervention or what, but it was a dry fire. And I sat there until the next morning, got up, dumped all that shit down the toilet, detoxed myself on the bathroom floor for a week, and picked myself up, Nick, and off we went into telling this story to anybody who will listen and telling people how I overcame it.
Wow.
So there's the background, brother.
I knew some of the story. I didn't know the whole story.
I didn't know it all.
Okay.
So that's the one that's the one I told Dave. That's the one I talk about on the podcast. I mean, that's the crux of everything I talk about with the kids, with business owners, with everything, because what the big thing for me about all that, what I tell everybody is, we as humans are not set up to lean into pain, right? And that's exactly what we have to do, right? The biggest mistake that I made in all of this, fellas, was I did the egotistical manly thing, right? I'm the big, tough football player. I don't need to process my feelings. I don't need to process my pain. Let me be strong for everybody else. Let me be the rock. And it's admirable, but it's the worst idea ever, because all I did was I just pushed all that stuff down, right? And when you do that, it's like, if I were to give you 3 balls of clay, they were different colors, and we're rolling them around in our hands for a minute or two. And then you got to try to separate the colors. You can't. It bled into every other aspect of my life. And as I started to think about it, what I realized is the reason I struggled so bad is because when you go through things, whether it's something like me, whether it's business, whether it's relationship, when it hurts, you got to lean into it, because everything we want is on the other side of that pain. But again, as humans, we're not set up to do that. We're taught, it hurts, get away from it. But if you can lean into it, then it becomes an armor. Then it doesn't, I talk about this openly and candidly because it doesn't, I'm not ashamed of it anymore. I'm not embarrassed about it anymore, right? This is something that, I can use for other people to help, whatever the issue is. Again, it doesn't have to be as serious as this. That's why I talk to kids so much, Nick, right? I mean, they deal with this every day, just getting up and go to school. But whatever your pain is, you got to lean into it. And when you do, it can't hurt you anymore. Can't do it.
Oh man, I really wish everybody else. I wish so many people need to hear this. It doesn't matter if the ones that aren't here this morning, but wow, man, that now. So what you were alluding to was you were like, David Meltzer has one of the best podcasts in the world. Your episode is the #1 listened episode on his podcast.
Most downloaded ever. Shockingly, still, I don't know why. I'm blessed. I appreciate y'all, but over 2,000, Tom Brady, all those other amazing people. People just finding value in it. So I'm glad it's why I talk about it. But yeah, Dave's podcast still number one after, I don't know, 5 or 6 years.
Well, I think I know why. I mean, honestly, like it's like, yeah, Tom Brady's great. I mean, great players. I'm sure there's a lot of great people on David's podcast, but I think more people relate to what you went through. And then like when you told me the first story about your brother, like,
Sure.
that tragedy, I was already at that point, I'm already like, oh my God, like, like
Didn't know that person.
right?
Yeah.
Talking about what happened with yourself and then like the gun and this, I mean, it's like unbelievable. I mean, it's like, so, and it's interesting because like I think that's why we like each other, Mike, is like I just I have a hard time with people that get weak really easily and they just give up quickly. I mean, it's like have some resilience, and like and I think so many people do struggle,
Yeah, they do.
all different types of issues and challenges and stuff like that. But it's like, man, it's like but I think that going through our own struggles, we realize that's where the gift is. That's what that like you got to fight through the challenges and the obstacles and the bullshit or whatever it is like you said, business, life, marriages, whatever.
Yep.
It's like, but wow, man, I'm just
You're,
tell us more, Mike. Yeah, tell us more about that.
you're right, Nick. I mean, and we mentioned Dave Meltzer. I mean, Dave's been a friend of mine for 20 years.
Wow,
He's a mentor. I knew Dave when Dave talks about, what he lost. I knew Dave before he lost that. And the thing that I love about him is even when he was at rock bottom, everyone that sees Dave now, Dave's always been that guy, always, which is why I love him. He just didn't have the vehicle to get it out there. But one of the best things I've learned from Dave, and I think this is paramount because it's been hard for me. Comparison is the thief of joy, right? So I tell this story, Nick, and it's obviously it's traumatic, and most people are like, oh my God, I would never be able to get through that, because I say the exact same thing. Like if you would ask me on October 29th of 2001, could I get through this? There's none of you could convince me that 25 years later I'd still be sitting here. Like I shouldn't be. I feel like I'm on borrowed time. But my point is, now we live in this world of social media and Instagram and LinkedIn, right? Everybody shows the wins. No one talks about what's real, right? No one talks about when it's down. So everyone thinks that everything is going well, and they're like, wow, I heard Mike's story and I'm only arguing with my wife. Well, don't do that, right? Because yeah, we all share this wonderful life together, and we're hurtling on this rock through space, but we all have our own individual lives. Just because it's big in my life doesn't mean it's not in yours. So I think one of the mistakes that people make is they trivialize their pain, right? So I tell this to my players, my young athletes, people I work with all the time. Feel your feelings. Just don't wallow. Feel them. It's okay, right? But you can't get into that negative mindset, Nick, where you're the victim and the woe is me. And if you can, Meltzer talks about it, you've heard other people talk about it. If you can look up, you can get up, right? All of us, the
love that.
wonderful guys on this, Dave, myself, Goggins, all of us, listen, we're all saying the same shit. And I have a news flash for everybody, right? And I'll keep it real. All of us are fucked up. Some of us just hide it better. And I say this to kids all the time. Like when I did a speech at my high school, and I could just tell the room was keyed up. And I'm like, listen to me. I had a panic attack in the parking lot an hour before I came in here. Relax. And I literally just, the whole room just, so again, my long-winded point being, Nick, I think we can all learn from each other, but we don't need to compare, and we shouldn't compare, right? It's all just a value add. We're all taking the same test of life, but we have different questions. So we can't cheat off each other. We just join it together.
So we were mentioning Meltzer, like he was like worth $100 million, I believe. And then he would like lost it all. Like, and then
Yep.
was the book, sorry, was the book, or sorry, the movie Jerry Maguire, was that his story of him?
It was. Yeah. So Jerry Maguire is when Dave was running the Steinbrenner agency, that story was, I mean, it was about Dave. And then he had this massive peak, and he talks about it openly. He came from a place of ego and just all the kind of things that we are all trying to eschew now, and lost it all. And as soon as he did that flip, meteoric back rise up to the top.
So he was running Steinberg's. Oh, wow, that's incredible. And then, so like,
Yep. He and
yeah,
Warren Moon. And that's how initially I had met them.
I'm so glad to hear this because like I was talking to a friend of mine and he told me I was like lying. He was not lying.
No,
He's like,
no,
nah, man, it was made about another guy. It wasn't David Meltzer. It's some guy, Lewis, some whatever. So that's great that I know you know because yours eight, you know,
yeah, everyone likes to talk about it, but it is the Steinbrenner agency and Lee and all that. I mean, look, everyone has. I'm sure other people play a role in it, right? It's Hollywood; they gloss it up, but
wow.
that's what it's about. The Steinbrenner agency and that.
Yeah, brother. And so quick question on you as far as the struggle and stuff for people that are
Sure.
struggling, like whatever they're just struggling with anything, whether it's their
Yeah.
career, whether it's their business, whether it's their fiance, marriage, whatever. Like, what are some of your best tips for people that are like on this, listening to this podcast? Like, what should they do? Where do they start?
Well, you know, when we first started, you guys were really talking about it. It's kind of the credo of this, which is why I love it. It is about accountability, right? But you know, I said it's accountability, but also being kind to your future self, right? You know, people get to this point where they think accountability means, you know, putting unrealistic expectations on ourselves, and then when we don't hit them, we feel like shit at the end of the day. No, accountability could be, you know, something I talk about this, and you know, like we talked about it up at the Meltzer event. You know, accountability could be something as simple as you've never worked out before, but you're going to get up today and you're going to take a walk. And your accountability is you got to walk to the end of your block and come back, right? So I think regardless of what you're going on in life, whether it's a story like mine, and you know what my accountability was to feel my feelings and to heal, right? I was accountable for that. No one else could do it for me. So, you know, in business and in life, we are accountable to take the actions that we can take whatever is in our power to change our circumstances. And if that's something we can't do on our own, well, then this is the best thing that I've learned is, and where I screwed up, we got to ask for help. My big ego got me in trouble all the time. I thought I could do it. You know, I was taught that. It's that old traditional athlete mindset, like we don't need anybody, we can tough through it, right? Suck it up, waters for the weak, all that crap. It's not true, right? It just isn't. When we get to the point, like one of the most powerful things is being able to ask for help because it comes from a place of humility and it comes from a place of I don't know everything and I don't have everything figured out. And what's interesting is the moment we open ourselves up to that, all these positive things start coming back into our lives, right? So, you know, we have to also stay present, Nick. And what I say about that, this is a challenge for me even 25 years later. It's a daily practice for me. Like I will get in those moments where I get stressed or I get frustrated and I'll have a down day. I'll think about like my personal accountability for my brother and been like, you should have known, you should have seen this, you should have been able to stop it. It's all nonsense, right? But it's there, right? So I have to, when I say be kind to our future selves, that's what I mean to folks. It's okay to have bad days, but they're really not bad days. They're bad moments of great days. And the example I give, and it's dramatic, but I think about, you know, the day I buried my folks and brother, it's 3 people, right? And I think back now with perspective as an older man, and I look back and I said, you know, it was horrible. I was burying a brother, but I had 85 brothers standing behind me. I had the entire Wake Forest football team there. And anyone that's ever played a sport or even been, you know, it's as damn close as you can to having blood. And I think about it, even on the worst day of my life, like I have to practice gratitude for that because they could have not been there and that would have been even worse. So, you know, there's no bad days. There's bad moments of great days. And then the staying present. Listen, depression is thinking too far in the past. Anxiety is thinking too far in the future.
I love
Just
that.
stay present, brother. Stay present.
One
Right?
more time on that one. Depression is thinking too far in the past.
Yep. Depression, you're thinking too far in the past. Anxiety, you're just thinking too far ahead. Stay present. Stay in the moment. Stay where you're at. Right. Let's see what happens. Let's see how it unfolds. Right.
I love that, man. I love that.
I've been guilty of it for so long, right? Like, listen, fellas, I will tell you, I am the freaking king of thinking circular about my circular thinking, right? Like I can just, I can ruminate on something and put myself back in a place mentally, and it's just not, it's not healthy. It's wasted energy. It's like the guys, you all know, it's like the guys that go to the gym and you look at them, you're like, damn, you damn sure know that's not doing anything. Why are you doing that? That's thinking circular about my circular thinking, you know. But we all do that, Nick, when we're stressed, when we're whatever it is. Again, relationship issue, business issue, trauma like mine. You know, kids nowadays, they don't get a like on social media, they lose their minds. It's, you know,
Unbelievable that can affect children like that. Mike, the
yeah,
three core values of the Brotherhood are family, faith, and fitness.
love it.
These are our core values. Could you
Love it.
talk first about your family life, right? Like
Yep.
current style,
Yep.
right?
I mean, for me, that's a big deal, right? I mean, obviously, you know, having lost a lot, you know, team orientated, that's a big deal. I mean, all my guys, it's funny, but then they all laugh like, you know, Coach Moose, they're my boys. They, you know, I get text at 2 o'clock in the morning. Hey, I'm fighting with my girlfriend. All right, let's talk about it in the morning, you know. But the family side of it is important to me. You know, my significant other and her son, you know, I believe in family time. I like the traditional values of it. Like one of those things I hate is that, you know, if I go out to a restaurant and I see a family eating dinner and everyone's on their phone, it drives me crazy, right? There's no connection. So I'm a big family guy. I believe in family time. I know we live in this society where phones and everything else are integrated, but little things like that, it's important to disconnect because, you know, it's so funny, Nick. We talked about it in New York. Everyone thinks, you know, this is connection. It is to a certain extent, but that face to face, you know, that family time, whether it's going to church, whether it's going for a walk, whether it's eating a meal, whatever it is, it's so important. It's so important. And I think, you know, you talk about faith. Faith comes in a lot of different ways. And whatever your creed is, you've got to believe. I know that categorically. You have to believe in something. And you have to believe in something greater than yourself. Because if you don't, if you come from that egotistical, it's all me, listen, I'm telling you, you're going to get humbled. And I've wondered, and I've done deep dives of myself. Did I bring some of the things, right? Was I reaping or sowing? Did I bring some of the things into my life that I had to overcome with, right? Because, you know what I'm saying? I was at a position where I wasn't doing the right thing. And I was like, all right, we're not gonna crush you, even though you feel like it, but we're gonna humble you. Yeah. So faith is a big thing. It's taken me a really long time to learn this, and honestly, fellas, I learned it detoxing myself on the bathroom floor. Where I learned faith was there. Like, you know, I stupidly put a gun in my mouth. I would have regretted that a nanosecond after it happened. Not thinking, I impetuously, egotistically decided to detox myself on the bathroom floor. That could have gone badly, right? So my point in that is there's a reason for me to be here. So you have to have faith in, if you're still here, if you look up, you can get up. You're breathing air for a reason. We just got to find out why, right? And then health and fitness. I mean, come on, everything starts there. I know I'm singing your guys' song when I say this. It drives me crazy. Everyone looks for the quick hack. Everyone looks for the quick pill. Like, ask your doctor if getting off your ass is right for you. Start with that. You know what I mean? Take a walk. But I laugh, all kidding aside. You know, like over in the UK, for example, it takes 6 to 8 months to get an SSRI. 6 to 8 months. They hand them out here like, you know, they're free passes to an amusement park.
Yeah.
And I wonder, right? Are you really depressed and you need an SSRI, or your hormones down because you eat bad food, you don't get any vitamin D,
Yep.
you don't take a walk, you haven't had a vegetable, you know, you're eating high fructose corn syrup all day, you don't meditate, you're dehydrated. I mean, you know this. I'm singing your guy's song. The list goes on and on and on. So, you know, everyone is quick to, I think, Nick, they're quick to run for the hack and fitness, obviously. They're also quick to run for the hack for pain. And if I could tell everybody, there is no quick hack. If you want it, I'm telling you what it is, lean into it. The faster you lean into whatever it is that's hurting you, the faster you'll get past it. It takes a lot. It's not easy, but the moment you do it, watch. Because what I realized, you know, I think about him, let me rephrase, I thought about him every day. I mean, as soon as my eyes opened up, it was the first thing I thought. And then one day, they were the second thing. And that's how I knew I was getting better. So
Well,
those pillars, you guys are singing my song, man.
Yep. I have so our scripture statements of the Brotherhood, leading from the front. So these are gym owners, and like I explained to them that, especially in today's society, like you mentioned about kids on Instagram, if you own a gym and like you're whatever 100 pounds overweight and you're just look like a slob, I mean like people are just they're just I'm not going to your gym. It's like I know I'm not bringing my kids to your gym. Like so leading from the front, like that's one of the things we stand by is, you know, um, being that a second thing is being the example. Like like the result you're selling. Like if I look at you and you're not even close to looking like that result, why would
Right.
and then the third one for us is staying ahead. And staying ahead right now, Mike, this is I've never even talked to you about this, but one thing that we're learning right now is and when I say being the example, leading from the front, I'm one of the I'm a very different type of marketer. Like that's really what I do. They consider me a marketer, but the difference is I'm actually doing it. Like I'm not just telling these guys in the Brotherhood like how to do it. I'm showing them this is how you do it, and
Yeah.
they're watching me do it. So
Yep.
right now, like for example, what's happening is I believe I've created this. I call it this content creation domination formula. And what I'm doing for everybody is I'm showing them is that like you got to stop doing the same thing as everybody else. Like when you're doing the same thing as everybody else, you're going to sound like everybody else, look like everybody else, and you're never going to stand out. So, and the thing is, what you talked about, like the reason why I loved your main thing about the podcast, it just comes down to one thing. It just all comes down to discipline. Like
That's
if you don't have discipline and consistency with what I'm about to teach people, it doesn't matter. Like if you're just all off balance with everything, like you're never gonna like that's all it is. Like I
it.
have consistency like no one. I don't need anyone to tell me to do anything. I don't have anyone holding me accountable. I don't. So I'm showing them, I'm like, guys, like this is what I'm doing right now. Okay, this is how I'm doing it. This is how I keep growing. And I want you to follow this formula because if you just do it, if you could stay consistent and keep the discipline, it's going to work. It's not just everything can't be about offers and deals and discounts. Like that's not marketing anymore. That's like annoyance.
That's so that's so valuable because I hate the word saturated nonsense.
Yeah.
There's not that much originality out there, right? Everybody is just making a version of something that's already out there, but it's that persistent, consistent pursuit of the best version of yourself, right? Keep taking wings at the plate, and again, everyone falls in love with the end result. You gotta fall in love with the process of it,
Yes.
right? You
Yes.
have
That
to,
is the
right?
process. Absolutely.
And if you fall in love with the process, the end result comes. It's the same as working out, right? Everyone's six pack abs. All right, fall in love with the process in the kitchen. And then as soon as there's a little bit of progress, it goes, right? But Dave talks about that next to lonely mile with entrepreneurs, right? There's so many entrepreneurs like we're right there. You're right there. If you could just go a little bit more, you're there, and they quit. It's certainly, listen, I don't know much, but I know life is certainly a journey, and it's a war of attrition, right? Like it is not set up to make us happy, so we have to opt for happiness and choose it. And the environment that we keep, there's everyone on here's played sports, man. Like I used to like playing with the guys that were not as good because I could get away with shit and try shit, and I didn't have to work as hard. And then when I went around some dogs, it's like, man, I got to give full effort or I'm going to get embarrassed. It takes a special kind of people, to get ready to run at 100 every day. But the ones that do it, they lead the pack.
Brother, I love it so much because like you had just helped me for that. We're doing this course next Friday. And like I wasn't thinking about loving the process.
Got to
That's all it is.
everything.
Like it's like I'm obsessed with the process because and you said loving the process because it's all about what am I giving to these other people? How am
Right.
I helping them? It's not about like, well, the end result is we're going to convert them into this.
Yeah.
It's like I'm obsessed. That's the word I use with I'm just thinking about what else am I going to give them? What else do they need? And so, and if you're, but you, like you said, same thing. It's so funny. I did a video this morning to the group and I was explaining to them the same thing with the gym. Everybody, like Robert Greene, I don't know if you listened to him or read him. Okay. He talks about like that everyone is just so addicted to instant gratification. Everyone's just, and nobody wants to, everybody's expects instant everything.
That's it.
But anyway, what I was saying with exactly what you said with the gym. This guy comes up to me at the gym today I haven't seen him in a couple weeks, but I see it always seeing him there. Comes up to me, he's just like, bro, like, what are you doing? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you look fucking great. And I was just like, yeah, dude, cut sugar out. He's like, well, I could tell. And but you know what, Mike? It took 30 days. Like it wasn't like, a week.
That's right.
Everybody just expects you're gonna go to the gym hard this week. And then now it's like, no,
Uh-huh.
man, I'm in it for the long haul. And like my wife, I fight with her now because she's like, so you're just not gonna have sugar anymore? I'm like, I don't want it.
That's
I
it.
don't, I don't want cookies, babe.
Done.
It's like, so I have to be careful because it's like she thinks I become too obsessed, but I don't like the way I feel. I don't want the rushes and the drops. And
Nothing tastes better than feeling good feels. Nothing. And it does in the moment, but it's right there. It's that discipline. And entrepreneurs need it, and we all need it in our life, right? It's just that personal accountability. And listen, you know, everyone has an opinion too. Like it's do what's difficult, right? If we do what's difficult, you're going to be successful, and just keep doing it.
Mike, it's funny. I follow NFL. Like I pretty much, I almost could tell you where any player in the NFL went to college. It's pretty bizarre because I was obsessed, not as much anymore.
Sure,
When I started putting more politics in it,
sure,
I got upset.
yeah,
I'm not watching because I understand psychology like you at a deep level. Like putting something in the end zone that says end racism, like does not end racism. It brings more awareness to it. Like that. So to me, if you don't understand that, like, and I have to explain to you, I'm like kind of like we can't even talk. So it's like putting those things all around stadiums about any racism and stuff. Like it's like first of
fluff,
all, yeah, ridiculous.
it's
But
fluff.
my thing for you is like I understand the NFL so much, and I've watched so many different players, and I've had a lot of relationships even with NFL players. You talked about something I want these guys to know. Like there's a certain player that they call a dog, right? And I think that these guys need it. I think that everyone that listens to this podcast, like explain to people what a dog is. That's because I think some people might think it's bad, but explain to them
No,
what a dog is.
it's not. And I say this. I say this to my players. I say it to my teammates, and it comes from a deep personal insecurity of myself and constantly thinking I'll never live up. But even my size, I was pretty talented. Big guy. But everyone's big, everyone's strong, everyone's fast. So for me, I was told there's nothing special about me. The only thing that made me good was I could take more, whatever the more was, running, lifting, whatever. So they would call me a dog because I just don't get tired. I don't get hungry. A dog is someone who just doesn't really care about themselves per se. They'll do it for their teammates. They'll do it for the others. And you don't, David Goggins is a dog. There's no stop until it's done. It's not like I'm going to quit. It's just, okay, well, when are we done? If you get hurt, do you get healed? And then you just keep going back to doing it. So dog is just one of those guys, no matter what, you're going to hit him, he's going to keep coming. You're going to hit him with a shovel, he's going to keep coming. You're going to hit him with a bat, eventually you got to shoot him because they don't stop. And no one wants to deal with anything that keeps coming. Nobody. That's a dog.
And they talk about that in the NFL a lot. Like he's a
It
dog.
is.
He's
Well,
got
and it's funny, but like truly, it's you hit on it, Nick. People think there's a negative connotation for that. It's not. Like my girl athletes, I call them dogs. Women, I am so appreciative of all the successful men and women out there that are entrepreneurs. I mean, they're dog. Jessica Alba, she's a dog. She created $1 billion honest company. Like so, people forget it's okay to be that way, right? And it's a good thing. It just means that you're focused, you're ready, you know what you want. I mean, I have a pit bull here. He's when it's dinner time, he's focused on dinner. When it's walk time, he's focused on the walk, right? When it's sleep time, he's focused on sleep. So for all of us, right, that's it, right? If you're training, train. If you're businessing, business. If you're focusing on your significant other, focus on it. That's the staying present piece, man.
I'm lucky, Mike. I got two guys that were these Eric and Aka. These guys, they're my dogs. We're dogs. Like we
That's
just
it, man.
don't care. We're just we'll do whatever. But
Yeah.
I feel bad for people that have, like I know some of my friends. They have people that work for them. They don't have no dog in them. Like
And if you've never experienced it, it's one of those. Do you know what I mean? It's when you get around it the first time, you see people and they're like, they get all jazzed up and they don't understand what it is. It's just that vibe. It's that energy. When you guys walk into the room and you're like, I mean, like I walk in the room, people are like, oh shit, loose pit bull just came in. But that's the dog.
like who are like some of the last question for now? Let these guys ask you some questions. Who were some of the best athletes that you were just like this? They were just
Joy,
off the charts.
Joyous Peppers, bar none. He guy's 6'6", 290 pounds, runs a 4.5 40. I mean, 40-inch vertical. Just playing that guy in college. I vaguely remember like a play, and I'm like, okay, he's pretty good. He's not that special. And then I realized he wasn't trying.
Wow.
He was one of those guys who could just. Some guys can just try, but I mean, I still he was alone. Chris Jenkins, who played for the Carolina Panthers in Maryland, he was just an absolute nightmare. I mean, it was like trying to move a telephone pole. There's just no. At best, you were hoping to stalemate that guy.
Wait, did Chris Jenkins go to Maryland or Michigan?
Maryland. His son.
Uh-oh. I think I lost Mike.
That one you needed to strap your helmet up because you were gonna hurt for sure after a day with Chris Jenkins. So and then oddly, even on my own team, Fred Robbins. I mean, he was a second-round draft pick of the Minnesota Vikings, and I remember my first one-on-one in college with him. I didn't even touch him. I still to this day don't know what he did. I'm like, how did a 320-pound guy just disappear? So, it's humbling. It's humbling. You go back to the bottom of the barrel real quick, man.
So Julius Peppers, though, he would be the number one. Like he was
best athlete I've ever seen. I mean, I've just never seen anyone that big, that fast, that fluid, that intelligent. I mean, God just touched him and said, "I'm going to make a perfect defensive end."
Yeah, I mean, he could have played in the NBA if he wanted to.
Easily, no question about it. Right? No question.
He played for Carolina, so right.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, he was a hooper too. I mean, for God's sakes, the guy was a tailback in high school.
Next, was he really? Wow. Yeah. Next question, then. Sorry, Jordan, Kobe, or LeBron?
All right, I'm biased because I'm a Philly guy. All right, so for me, in order, Jordan, Kobe, LeBron. Those would be the three. I mean, I had a summer league against Kobe Bryant, and they was just one like the aura. I don't know. It's hard to describe. That guy was so unique and so special and so amazing. I'm a huge LeBron fan. I think how he takes care of his body and the way that he approaches the game like a business is phenomenal. But no one's a better competitor than Michael Jordan.
Wow, really?
I mean, Michael Jordan, probably the ultimate dog.
I was going to say he's the ultimate, right?
I mean, when you're slapping your teammates and you're taking your teammates' souls and that kind of thing, and they're enjoying it, yeah, you're definitely the alpha. That's for sure.
Love it, man. That's awesome. Sure. All right, Mike. Listen, let's give Mike a hand, guys. He's just great, isn't he?
Yeah. Guys, I appreciate you, man.
Mike, we a minute to let these guys if they have any questions.
Sure. Fire away.
Daryl, you want to go first, brother?
Sure. Hey, Mike. Thanks for coming in today. So when you are working with, so you went through a lot. You've overcome stuff. You have a compelling and an inspiring story. When you are working with somebody who is so far, maybe not so far gone, but they're deep. They're down in the hole. Like, how do you I don't have this person, but I think this about the situations. Like when you have someone who's that far down, and they don't want to touch. They're disconnected. What can you do to kind of get that tree branch down there and pull them out of that hole? What would be a first step for that?
That's a great question. I started out. Wake Forest was really kind to me, and when I came back after this tragedy, one of the things that they did was they had set me up to go see counselors, which I think was a smart thing to do for a young man. The one big mistake that the first counselor made with me that turned it off quickly was she said, "Oh, I know how you feel." Oh, really? So you tell me about the time your brother killed your parents and himself, and it got very awkward, right? So for me, one of the things is it's about little wins, right? So people care so much, and when you see someone who's down, you see someone's hurting, the empathy in any of us as a human being, you want to help, but people have to be open to help, and they have to be open to hearing that message. And a lot of times I can tell you, because people did it for me, those individuals, they'll act as if they're not hearing it, or they'll act as if they don't care. it is getting through. That's the war of attrition. It comes back to, again, we all care. We want to help them quickly. You see someone in pain, you're like, hey, I want you to get out of pain, right? We gotta stop it. I think for me, the best way to answer your question is we have to give them little nuggets to show that we're there, we can help, but they also need to maybe stay in that pain point for a reason, right? And again, as a friend or a mentor or whomever it is that if you're seeing for that one, some of that comes down to just what you see and what you feel, right? Again, that's why I say it's important we feel our feelings, but there's a difference in wallowing, right? When someone's wallowing, that's, hey, maybe some tough love. If someone's struggling, it's, hey, I get you, you're not there yet, but just know I am here, right? And those little touch points do make a big difference. So it's not a one size fit all, but I think it's important if you're seeing some progress, little crumbs go a long way. But if someone's just completely shut down, I'm a big believer in that. You know, I look, and I've said this about my sister actually. You know, my sister was this beautiful, kind, empathetic woman, and the situation really changed her. She hardened up a little bit, right? And she's been opposed to therapy and some other things. And I think, you know, the analogy I would give it, for me, I got hit with a sledgehammer, right? And that's what knocked me over to here. I'm not going to get back to center with a feather. So, you know, when we get to that point, brother, right, if someone's really stuck and they're there, I mean, it goes against a little bit we need, but they may need that tough love to shock them back into coherence of, hey, let's do it. I mean, one of my close colleagues who I podcast with, his wife battles bipolar, and it's been brutal, really rough year. And he finally got to the point where he had to serve papers, and that was the coherent moment. Everything worked out, pulled it back. They're wonderful. It's been the best year of their life. But crumbs are a sledgehammer, and it's a fine line. But again, I think, you know, take it as an assessment about how the person's doing and how open they are for it.
Great, thank you.
Really great question. Thank you, Daryl. That's a great question. Yeah, thank you, Mike. Keith, did you have a question for Mike?
Yeah, Mike, I've kind of been through a similar family situation with my brother and his addiction, and he overdosed and passed away about 10 years ago. But, you know, I kind of look at the opposite side, and clearly you have. You took a positive out of that. All that pain turned into purpose, and that's what I got from it. So, you know, the saying that I use with my students and the people I coach is, obstacles are not there to obstruct you, they're there to instruct you.
That's awesome.
And so we need to use those as examples of why we need to move forward. And I love what you said. If you can look up, you can get up.
Yep, you can do it.
Okay.
So I'm going to use that one, brother.
Please, I appreciate it. No, and I love it. It really just is about it's embracing that pain, and when you can do it, boy, it becomes an armor. It can't hurt you anymore. It can't hurt you anymore, right?
What a great quote.
Cannot.
Big Boogie Down, did you have a question for Big Mike?
No, it was a powerful story, you know, and it just brought back memories because, you know, I was homeless after 9/11, and you know, and lived on the street for like a year, and you know, so you always think like you're the only one.
Yeah,
You
man.
understand?
Yep.
You know what I mean? You like
Yes,
you're
sir.
only, and then when you hear somebody else's story, you're like, well, you know,
Yep.
you know, you know, you should be blessed for being in the position that you're in, because, you know, you're right. You said, you know, the clip fell out because you have a purpose, you know, so, you know, it's very inspirational, you know. My question to you is, you know, as alphas and as athletes and whatnot, you know, and, you know, iron sharpens iron and whatnot, but sometimes you get misinterpreted.
Yeah.
You know, so like, you know, like you mean well and you get misinterpreted, and then now it's like you're labeled, you know, so, you know, in your opinion, well, from your wisdom, what do you do to be able to deal with things like that?
Yeah, you know, that's a great question, particularly because of the industry that we're in, and the nature of society today. You know, I love this quote, and it's, you know, hard times create hard men create soft times, and soft times create soft men. Like we just live in it. I categorically believe for men and for young men, rest and relaxation is important, but it's got to be earned. It can't be handed. You know, there's something just Darwinian about, you know, men and growing into a man and just doing some hard work and being accountable. Society has gotten very soft, right? You know, there's been labeled, you know, the strong silent type and the men who worked and the men who were, you know, aggressive, and they were positive in their messaging, right? That's now somehow become toxic masculinity or something, because you got a bunch of posers out there that, you know, are just barking tough because they got an affliction t-shirt and an armband tattoo. Like, get off that, man. You know, so for us, right, it's about, I think you're not going to be able to please everybody. Know that right now. So the more people who are talking, the better. But figure out kind of what your niche is. You know, I've struggled with that because, you know, I want everyone to like, I hate people to hate me. So, you know, when you get into that point, I've also realized though that some of the things I say, some people are just going to hate, and that's just life. So, you know, I've gotten over trying to appease everybody, but for the ones that like the content, the ones that are getting value, that's where you keep the focus. If someone's going to label you toxic or something because of something you believe in and you're going, it's not your audience, man. Just go ahead. Don't like on this podcast, people don't like what we're saying. Go ahead and change the channel. You don't have to listen to it. Bye. But you're listening to it and you're complaining about it. That's good for us, right? So the more people that talk about you, the better you're doing, brother. But again, keep your funnel, right? Keep that funnel closed so that your messaging is going to the right people, because all of our messages are for everybody, you know, and honestly, it'll be better for your business because you don't want to waste your time with people who aren't picking up what you're putting down. You know, forget it. You know, go to the people who are getting value from what you're doing.
Thanks, Mike. Can I ask one more question, Nick?
Yeah, please, good.
Yeah, my next question is, you know, when you were going through the moments, right, and you spoke about ego and like, I don't need the help, you know, and you used the word humble. I don't like to use the word humble because for me it's defined as being lesser than what you are as yourself. So I like to use the word grounded. So when you became grounded and then had that epiphany, like, no, wait a minute, you know, I need help. You know, what was it? What was the catalytical moment that made you have that decision? Like saying, okay, Mike, you need to come out, drop your ego, and like, you know, be submissive.
Yeah. And that, you know, right there, man, I was going to use that word. That is the biggest word for me right there. Like, you know, even my mentor Meltzer tells me all the time, like, you gotta give in, you gotta be submissive. And that word just naturally, right, it makes my skin bristle, right? Because it goes against that alpha dog mentality I've been taught since I was young. But I've realized true, real alpha dogs, you're able to be submissive that way. You can give in. Like this fallacy of, oh, the wolf out front is a leader. No, it's not. No, it's not. They're just breaking trail. The real alpha is the one that's in the middle of the pack, and they're doing the work for the real leaders. So it's a misconnotation. So for me, you know, once candidly, man, after that clip had fallen out and I sat there, I dumped everything down. You know, that detox point was kind of like my walking through hell moment, you know, and I'm like, this is a real place. So I've got to walk my way out of here, and I don't know how to. Because I was always that all-American kid, man. Not that I hadn't overcome obstacles. I had tragedies, but nothing at that level that had ever, I'd always been able to overcome it through ego or athleticism or friendship or something else. And this was one, I couldn't even see the damn light of day, man, you know? And I'm like, I know I got to walk out of here, but I don't know where I'm going. So that's when I started to reach out for help. And as I did that, I slowly started to see, as cliche as it sounds, but I could kind of see the light a little bit, right? And then it's like driving a car when windshield wipers work. Like everything started to become a little bit clearer as I worked my way out. But in truth, it was really being in that place where it was dark and it was cold and it was lonely and it was scary, and I really didn't have anybody else. And I'd finally just, honestly, brother, and I know you know what I'm talking about. I just kind of got beaten to my knees, and I'm like, shit, big balls, Mike Moosebrugger. I can't do this on my own anymore. I got to reach out, and thankfully, there were people that were willing to help me.
Like so many people need help. It's unbelievable. Like you said.
So hard to ask for it, Nick. Do you know what I mean? It's the hardest thing in the world. And the shame of it is and I really truly believe this, our capacity as human beings, we're set up to do this. We're set up to help one another. And there's even those that we see on a daily basis, you can tell they're upset, they're not happy in their life. But when you do something kind for someone, right? I tell this to my athletes all the time. You're having a shit day, here's the fastest way to turn around. Hold the door longer for someone. Put someone's shopping cart away who was too lazy and they left it in the parking lot. Like, just do something benign like that and watch your day's trajectory change. But we all, myself, I'm guilty of it too. We get ruminating on all the bad things that are happening. And folks, take a break, right? Go back to staying present, Nick. What can you do to have an impact to change the positivity of that day? Because we wake up, man, right? You're sending signals. Are we going to be positive today? Or are we going to be negative today? That's it.
Yep.
That's it. It's not, life is impossible, but it's actually really easy.
Yeah.
Work hard, be kind, drink water, eat good food. You'll be all right.
Mike, I have a question for you. Do you have a question for Big Mike? Big Aka?
What's up, Mike? How you doing, brother?
I'm great, man.
Great, man. No questions. I just want to thank you for your time and for sharing your story, bro. So
I appreciate you having me on, man. I'm happy. I'll sing it to anyone who will listen. So anytime.
the only other question is, like, it sounds like you and Nick could be like brothers. I said that before when we met at Melter's event. Like, it was like, man, you guys are like twins, except one's just a lot taller.
So there's the XL version. That's all.
Yeah.
I think I can bring up a good point too. I think though, like my next question will even lead into this. We almost should do a podcast together, me and Mike, because Mike, you're like, bro, you're so nice. We're so nice. I'm not.
I appreciate it.
Like, I'm not nice. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so like as I'm talking to you, like I'm literally have this message coming through, right? And this is my question for you. This will help you. I think you might be onto something. I think me and him have to do something one day, whether it's a monthly podcast or something, because we look alike and we look so much similar. But Mike, what I love about you is you're so nice, man. Like you're like, I think I wish I could be a little more nice. Like, so this question's for me. So what I have a hard time with are like, it's like, why don't you want the truth? Like, and why don't you want the fucking truth? Meaning that, like, an example, I have a guy, as I'm looking at this, he's messaging me about, I thought the campaign was free. I see these text message costs, and it's like, I'm looking at this guy and I'm like, you just had 38 people say they're interested in your 7-day guest pass, right? That I ran for you. Why are you asking me about a $2.99 charge or whatever, $7.99 charge about like, why are you so weak? Like, why, like, how could you let yourself, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so that's why I said, I think me and him would be great. Cause Mike would be like, well, Nick, the guy could be like, and I'm like, dude, I don't care, man. Like, be a man. Like, stop being a bitch. Like, it's like, I don't even care if he even hears this, if he knows I'm talking about him. Like, it's like, you are in the wrong mindset. Like, and the thing is, you haven't changed over 5 years. When is that change going to come for you if you don't get it? And it's like, I look at it like this, bro. And this is why we'd be perfect, Doc, and me and him. I look at it as a clock is like, my time's running out. Like, I mean, I'm 50 years old. You're 45. I don't know how much longer I'll be around here to help people. So I'm like, dude, do you want me to help you? Or do you want to just keep going down the road of just being like weak? You know what I mean? Like, you are thinking wrong, motherfucker. Like, it's like, you're looking, how do you not even see? You have 38 people that want to do your program and you're worried about the $10 for the text message cost.
It's
that's why we'd be great, because I can't wait to hear your response. Because I want the guy that just told me what I just said. I wouldn't be like, bro, you're right. Like, I'm like, you know what, man? I don't want to have this weak mindset. Thank you for calling me out being a bitch. Like, I'm like, you're right. Let me focus on the 48 people, that are interested in the program, not the $2, the $6, whatever. Who cares? It's $100. If it's $100 for your text messages, Like if you get 2 people in, they pay for that for 2 years.
He does not, and I can
That's
tell
my rant. Like that's my rant for you.
no, I feel you on it. I can tell you right now, like the thing that he does not have is he does not have his business priorities in order, right? So he's focused on the wrong things. I say this to every one of my athletes that plays for me. I will teach you everything, but the playbook. The playbook is on you. That's your commitment to me. If you need to know where you're going, I don't need to tell you where to go. When it's written down, read it. I will tell you how to get there. I'll tell you to get there perfectly. I'll tell you to get there suddenly and properly so that you can dominate. But you've got to read the playbook. My point, Nick, for that guy, right? Everything you just said is
He's on the
paramount.
call. He's on the call. He's over there. No, I'm just kidding.
Even better. So bring him on. He's right. He's focused again on end result, not the process. Right?
Yes.
So my players, I jump on them. This is how I handle things like that. Okay. So that gentleman, I hear you. I get it, but let's talk about this, right? You're having an emotional reaction because you're seeing money. However, look at what we're doing in order to generate money. Okay. You got to frame of perspective. That's how I start with my players when they make something stupid, right? I'm going to coach you. When it happens, that messaging then starts to turn less like Mike and more like Nick. And then it's after a week, motherfucker, didn't we review this in film? Don't say, yes, coach, my bad, coach. I know it's your bad. That's why the veins in my neck are coming out and I've got you by the face mask, right? Correct. I know it's your bad. So again, it has to raise, but I've just found, sometimes there's 2 answers to it, Nick. Sometimes that shotgun coherence brings them right in. And other times, and I've said it to players, where I just do this. Hey, man, you're not going to play for me. Go. I love you. Call me, text me. You're not going to play for me. So that guy, listen, I can't work with you. Bye. And that's okay. It's not personal. I don't like it. It's just our commitment to your business growth is not as alignment. When your commitment is as strong as mine, come back to me.
I love that, bro. On that note,
I never want to coach a player. Like if I'm coaching a player harder than he wants to be coached, I'm not the one for you, man. And everyone knows we've all been athletes. You're either a football player or you play football. You're either a business owner or you work in a business, right? It's okay. Neither is wrong, but be honest with yourself about what you want to be.
Mike, thank you so much, bro. This was one of my favorite podcasts ever.
Come on. I
No,
appreciate
I'm
you, man.
serious, brother.
Anytime, man. You guys know I'm happy to jump on.
Listen, now you said it to me. Like now you said anytime. I'm telling you, bro. Like I think Aka's onto something. I think like we need it. Like we need, even if it's for the Brotherhood. Like think about it.
Sure.
Like we're doing this massive launch for the Brotherhood,
Yep.
and we have some other people we're bringing in. But I think that we definitely, I want to connect you with them because it might even be something that we could do together. I want to talk to you more about it because the Brotherhood needs guys like you. Because like that's the thing with the Brotherhood. It's not all about me. Like it's a group of mentors. It's not
Sure,
just
man.
I don't have like, see what I just said? I got triggered. You know what I mean? Like I got triggered because of stupidity. Like, like because my father, I wasn't allowed to have that. Like I wasn't like I was just ridiculed, destroyed.
Oh
And
yeah.
I would just, whatever. And then
We're in that age group where that's where it was, man. He was a strong, silent type fathers where I don't want to hear it. Just go do it.
yeah, man.
And the challenge, see, I deal with it with a lot of parents nowadays because I have a lot of young men who are dealing with mental health issues, and the fathers are like, what's going on with this? Like and it's not, I feel bad for them. They don't have the experience because when they were that age, it was the blues, and your coach just said, deal with it, right? Go hit someone. It wasn't, no one to hear that shit. So the parents, they don't know how to deal with it. And it's just this perpetuating cycle that keeps going, but it bleeds into aside from sports, bleeds into business, bleeds into relationships. I mean, you guys are in the gym business, you see it. All these young girls, they look like they're 25. All the boys are estrogenic and pulled forward. And, like I remember growing up and going to the swimming pool, there was maybe one kid who wouldn't take his shirt off. Now it's 60% of the entire population.
Man, 100%.
All food. Don't get me started on that, Nick. That's
Bro,
another
listen,
podcast. That's just food based.
bro, I want to get you started because that's what the Brotherhood's all about. Like, it's like, bro, I came home from Utah and Arizona, and I was just like, what is going on? Like, I was like, and then that's what I said, you know what? No, Mike, you'll love this. You know what is going on? They need our help.
Yeah, sure.
The government's not doing anything about it. So
Oh.
well, like that's what I said. I was like, like instead of focus on this small niche of martial arts, I'm like, we need to broaden it. And like even the
Definitely.
weekend, it's like, bro, I know there's things we're gonna do together. Like I want to get you connected with some of these guys that we're working with
Please,
because
man.
I mean,
Anything I can do, guys, follow me on, jump on LinkedIn, Instagram, anything I can do for you.
like, isn't he perfect for like Brotherhood? I mean, it's like seriously, and because like I said too, bro, it's like I know that I'm not like I'm not the guy that to help every single person. Like I can't. Some people they can't handle me. Like but some people when I get with them, like I could change someone. But some of them, I think someone like you have a different way of handling them, and that's what I want it to be about. Like everyone's that it's more than so. This is a global movement. The Brotherhood is a global movement. We want people all over the world. We're not looking for entrepreneurs. We're not
Yeah.
a mastermind. We're not trying to help you with lead conversion. We're not trying to help you with your problems
It's
with your
community.
automation. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
it's average man.
Yep.
That's what the Brotherhood's about.
Love
So
it.
I know that they think about it, and that's who needs more help.
Agreed.
Because entrepreneurs think they have it figured out, even though half of them don't. But I know I'd rather help the regular men and women out there that want that support system, brothers like you, brother. So Mike,
The real secret is none of us have it figured out. Some of us just we have a better sales pitch than people think we do.
I love it. Yeah, man. That's a great. You're so right. I love what you said at last thing on Meltzer's event. You're like you just said we're all fucked up. It's just some of us hide it better.
That's it, man. That's it. Everybody's got something, man, and it's and again we're all everybody. That's why I appreciate so many of the speakers. We're all saying the same thing. So just figure out what message resonates and works best for you, and dive into that content and live it, man.
Love you, bro. Love you, man. Like a brother.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for having me. Anything I can do for you, man, I'm always available.
See you,
Thank
Mike.
you, Mike.
All right, brothers. Have a great day, man. Be well.
Thank you.